Volkswagen workers offered to support $1.6 billion in cost savings on Wednesday. But that's only if the automaker rules out closing plants in its home German market. They further warned VW would face a historic battle if it pushed on with major cuts. The proposal comes a day ahead of a third round of key talks between workers and management. They're due to discuss pay cuts and factory shutdowns in Germany. It comes as Europe's biggest automaker struggles with high costs and Chinese competition. The leading IG Metall union said Wednesday's offer was dependent on stakeholders pitching in. That includes VW's controlling Porsche and PH families. Reuters saw an internal VW memo from one board member. It said management welcomed that unions were open to tackling labour costs and capacity, but they added factory closures couldn't be ruled out. Any factory closure would be a first for Germany in the group's 87-year history. The union's proposal included foregoing bonuses for next year and 2026, among other savings. On Wednesday, Works Council Chief Daniela Cavallo said it was not blind to the market changes, but she added overcapacity could be tackled without shedding jobs. Strikes at the majority of the carmaker's German sites are possible from December 1st. The company has said deep cuts at its core VW brand are needed to make it fit for the future. VW rival Ford also showed on Wednesday the struggles that car makers face in Europe. The US giant said it would shed around 14% of its European workforce. It blamed major losses in recent years made worse by weak demand for EVs and rising competition. It said the 4,000 job losses would be mostly in Germany and the UK.
Shares of Target tumbled more than 20% on Wednesday after the retailer's holiday outlook hit investors like a lump of coal. Target's sales and profit forecast for the holiday quarter was below estimates, a stark contrast from results from Walmart, which a day earlier raised its annual sales and profit forecast for the third consecutive time. Target has cut prices on thousands of items ahead of the holiday season and is also offering discounts on food, beverages, and toys. Target is also expanding its private label brand Dealworthy to include things like smartphone chargers and toiletries. Still, those efforts have fallen flat, as value-conscious shoppers have been willing to scour multiple retailers in search of deals and turn to lower-priced rivals such as Walmart. Overall, holiday shopping this year is expected to grow at its slowest pace in 6 years, according to separate reports from the National Retail Federation and Deloitte, as stretched consumers pull back on discretionary spending.
Indian conglomerate Adani Group lost around $27 billion in market value on Thursday after US prosecutors charged its billionaire chairman over an alleged bribery and fraud scheme. Gautam Adani's flagship company, Adani Enterprises, closed down 23% in its worst one-day drop since February 2023 and its lowest since November last year. Other group firms also fell between 7 and 19%.
The fundamentals of our company.
The US indictment accuses Adani, one of the world's richest people, his nephew Sagar, as well as 6 others, of paying $265 million in bribes to Indian government officials to obtain solar energy supply contracts. Arrest warrants have been issued in the US for Adani and Sagar. In a statement, Adani Group dismissed the accusations as baseless and denied and vowed to seek all possible legal recourse. Prosecutors also alleged the Adanis and former Adani Green CEO Vineet Jain concealed corruption from lenders and investors to secure $3 billion in loans and bonds. Adani Green Energy cancelled plans to raise $600 million in US dollar-denominated bonds after the news. Some Adani dollar bonds also slumped, with prices down 3 cents to 5
Wall
cents.
Street's main indexes ended mixed on Wednesday, as investors worried about escalating geopolitical tensions and a muted holiday quarter sales forecast from Target. The Dow ended up 0.33%, the S&P 500 finished flat, and the Nasdaq shed 0.1%. Shares of Target plunged more than 21% after the retail giant forecast holiday sales and profits below Wall Street expectations, a stark contrast to Walmart, which a day earlier raised its annual sales and profit forecast for the third consecutive time. Chris Constantinos is chief investment strategist at Riverfront Investment Group.
One retailer had really strong numbers, and another retailer had very, very poor numbers and poor guidance. And so I think that that's confusing the picture a little bit. Then on top of that, obviously the market is, I think, in general, trying to consolidate a lot of not only post-election gains, but also just gains for the year, right? We've had a huge year-to-date number in U.S. markets, and so some of this, I think, is just excessive positive sentiment trying to work itself off, particularly ahead of a pretty big tech company reporting tonight.
U.S. stocks had fallen earlier in the session after a report said Ukraine fired long range British missiles into Russian territory. On Tuesday, Ukraine launched U.S. made missiles into Russia, and President Vladimir Putin lowered the threshold for nuclear action. Shares of Nvidia ended lower and then fell roughly 2% in extended trading after the chipmaker posted results after the closing bell. It forecast fourth quarter revenue slightly above estimates, but still failed to meet lofty expectations of some investors who have made it the world's most valuable firm.